Hello, I'm Mike Hayes. In today's session, we'll be taking you step by step through Autumn Leaves. We'll be using some concepts from Barry Harris to make us aware of the great range of harmonies that are available to us in this fantastic tune. I'll be showing you some chord shapes and we'll be talking about some ideas, but the main thing to keep in mind is that we play sound. And what better way to get your head around these sounds is by listening to the master himself. So later on in the video, I'm going to include a suggested listening list. I hope you get a lot out of this video and wish you all the best with your playing. Let's get started. We'll begin by working on the first 4 bars of Autumn Leaves. On the screen you'll see 2 sets of chords. The chords in white are the original chords, the type of chords that you'd see in a fake book. And the chords underneath, in gold, are the alternative type harmonies, if we're thinking about it in the Barry Harris style. Let's take the tune 1 bar at a time and analyse the thinking behind the second set of chords. That's the chords in gold. In the first bar, the E-flat 6 is the Barry Harris principle of being able to play the relative major 6 to the minor chord. Both the C minor 7 and the E-flat 6 contain the same notes. They're just different inversions of the same chord. I'm going to leave the second bar for the moment and we'll come back to that in the next example. In bar 3, we're playing a B-flat 6, and that's the Barry Harris principle of a major 7th chord is a major 6th chord with a borrowed note. In this instance, the B-flat 6 is borrowing an A note from the A diminished chord, and it's the same concept in bar 4 with the D diminished chord. Now let's have a look at the next 4 bars. Once more, the original chords are presented in white. In bar 5, we're thinking of the A minor 7 flat 5 as a C minor 6. And once more, both chords contain the exact same notes. They're just simply different inversions of the same chord. I'm going to leave the D 7th chord in bar 6 and we'll deal with that in the next example. Bars 7 and 8 are a G minor chord, and this chord is functioning as a tonic minor, so we'll think of this chord as a G minor 6. Let's have a listen to our new chords. Let's have a listen to the same set of chords, only this time with a bass. Right then, let's have a look at the same 8 bars, only this time we're going to make some changes to the dominant 7th chords. In bar 2, we're going to play a C minor 6, and this is the Barry Harris principle of minor 6 on the 5th. The 5th of F7 is C, so we'll be playing a C minor 6. And when we play a C minor 6 over an F bass, it creates the harmony of an F 9th chord. Over to bar 6, and this time we'll be playing an F sharp diminished chord. And when the F sharp diminished chord is played over a D bass, the sound that's produced is that of a D7 flat 9. Let's have another listen to the chord progression with these changes that we've made to the dominant 7th chords. Back to our progression, and this time we're looking at making another change to bar 6. I'm not going to name this chord, it's just going to be a sound and a shape on the guitar fingerboard. You might look at this shape and say, well, obviously it's a D7 sharp 9, or maybe an A flat 13 flat 9. And of course, both of those answers are correct. However, I'm thinking of this chord as an F sharp diminished with a borrowed note from an F7 chord. Now, how that works is, it's the Barry Harris principle of if you lower any note in a diminished chord by a semitone, you will find a dominant 7th chord. Now, if we lower the F sharp in the diminished chord, you will see there's an F7 chord there. And that's what I've done here. Instead of playing E flat on the 2nd string in our diminished chord, I'm going to change that note by replacing it with an F note from the F7 chord at the 6th fret. Let's have a listen to this progression once again with this new chord. Throughout this next exercise, we'll be featuring the Barry Harris borrowed note concept. In bar 1, the chord is E flat 6, and we're borrowing a note from the D diminished chord. They would be the two chords found in the E flat major 6 diminished scale. To help you see how this borrowed note principle works, I've marked the E flat 6 in green and the D diminished chord in red. Here we have two E flat 6 chords with a D diminished in between. And in this next diagram, you'll see that we've created a chord by combining some of the notes in green from the E flat 6 chord and one note from the D diminished chord, marked in red. In bar 2, we're working with a C minor 6th chord, and here it is marked in green, and the diminished chord that goes with C minor 6 is B diminished, and here is a B diminished marked in red. And now here's a chord that we've created using 3 of the notes from C minor 6 and one borrowed note from the B diminished chord. Now, when you have a look at this diagram, most of you will recognise this chord as an A flat major 7. And of course it is an A flat major 7, but the way we're thinking about this chord is that it's a C minor 6 chord with a borrowed note. One of the benefits of this type of thinking is that if I was using the traditional diatonic harmony approach, I probably wouldn't have thought of playing an A flat major 7th over an F bass in a bar of F7. Over to bar 3, and we're thinking of this bar as a bar of B flat 6. So here's our B flat 6 chord, indicated by green dots, and the other chord that's found in the B flat major 6 diminished scale is the A diminished chord. Here it is marked in red. And now here's a chord that's made up of 3 notes from the B flat 6 chord and one note from the A diminished chord. And now once again, many of you will recognise this chord as a B flat major 7th chord. However, we're thinking of this chord as a B flat 6 with a borrowed note. On to bar 4, and I'm thinking of this as a bar of E flat 6. Here's the E flat 6 chord marked in green, and the other chord that we find in the E flat major 6 diminished scale is the D diminished chord. And here is the D diminished chord indicated with red dots. And now here's the chord that we've created by using 3 notes from the E flat 6 chord and 1 note from the D diminished chord. And you might call this an A flat add 2. But by now you're probably getting the idea that we're thinking of this chord as an E flat 6 with a borrowed note. And it's the same idea with this second chord in bar 4. I'm still working off this E flat 6 chord, only this time I'm thinking of the D diminished chord that's lower on the fingerboard. And here it is here for you, indicated by red dots. And now here's the chord where we've combined 3 notes from the E flat 6 chord and 1 note from the D diminished chord. We might call this F minor 11, but we now know it's an E flat 6 chord with a borrowed note. On to bar 6, and I'm thinking of this as a bar of F sharp diminished. Here is the F sharp diminished indicated with red dots, and I'm borrowing a note from an F 7th chord. And here is the F7 indicated with green dots. And now here's the chord that we've created. Since this chord was created out of a diminished chord, and it simply is a diminished chord with a borrowed note, I can move this shape around the guitar fingerboard at a distance of 3 frets at a time. In other words, we could treat it in the same way that we do with a diminished 7th chord, where a different inversion of the chord repeats every 3 frets. And that's what I've done here with the second chord in bar 6. It's the same shape, just moved 3 frets lower on the fingerboard. In bars 7 and 8, I'm moving through the chords in a G minor 6 diminished scale, with the last chord in bar 8 being a G dominant 7th chord to lead our ear back to C minor in bar 9. On to bar 9, and I'm thinking of this bar as a bar of E flat 6. Here's the E flat 6 indicated with green dots, and I'm using a borrowed note from the D diminished chord. Here's the D diminished in red dots, and here's the chord that we've created using a combination of 3 notes from the E flat 6 chord and 1 from the D diminished. This of course looks like an E flat major 7th chord. I'm thinking of bar 11 as being a bar of B flat 6, and the other chord that we find in the B flat major 6 diminished scale is an A diminished chord. So here is the B flat 6 chord, and here is the A diminished chord. And now here's the chord that we've created out of a combination of 3 notes from the B flat 6 chord and 1 note from the A diminished chord. In bar 14, I'm using an F sharp diminished chord to function as a D7 flat 9, and I'm simply playing 2 different inversions of this diminished chord. Okay, let's have a listen to how all this sounds together with the bass. The bass will be playing off the original set of chords while we overlay these new harmonies. Thing is, these new harmonies give us something interesting to solo over. Well, that's it for today, folks. I do hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I hope there's something in this lesson that'll help you develop your own musical style on guitar. If you enjoyed this session and felt you got some value out of it and you'd like to support this channel, there's a link in the description below this video. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on all the good stuff. And if you like this video, don't forget to give us a like. It really helps us out. Until next time, all the very best with your guitar playing. Bye for now.